Welcome back to the 0 to 7 podcast, where each week we talk about our business decisions and strategies to reach our goal of going from 0 to 7 figures of income in just 1 year. So, the most embarrassing thing happened this week. Not only the fact that I just started talking and the heater goes off as soon as I start talking and we forgot to turn it off, but last week we talked about how I was going to go to a walkthrough.
Yep.
And we went through the whole training process. Nothing could have prepared me for what happened in this training, not in this walkthrough. So I went to the walkthrough, I'm going through the place, finding all the stuff that they need cleaning, and it just keeps going on and on and on. And I probably meet like 10 people in the course of, like, business is just going on as usual. Like, people are everywhere. Go through the whole thing thinking, okay, yeah, we can do this. This is definitely something that's within our realm. I get done. I have my notebook. I get done. I sit in my car and I look down and my fly is wide open and was open for the entire time. And not only that, I was wearing blue jeans with red underwear underneath. So it was the most obvious that it could possibly be.
Well, did we get the walkthrough? Did we win it?
So needless to say, we haven't gotten a call back from them yet. But that's where we're at, man. Apparently that's just a problem.
That's the first walkthrough. Wow. That was a good exciting start.
It can only go up from here, right?
Yep.
Oh, man. Welcome to my life.
Yep.
All right, so we don't have a whole lot to talk about this week, other than we wanted to talk a little bit about hiring, because you've learned a lot in the past about hiring. We have a hiring manager that's doing it now too, and you're kind of having to rush like 2 or 3 years of hiring
learning
into like 2 weeks for this poor guy. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about that, the platforms that we're listing on, the places that we're finding people, some of the apps that we're using, as well as some of how the interviews go, kind of like the whole structure. So
yeah,
sure. I'll let you get started with that, and I'll chime in because you know most of it. I'm just here. Yeah. I'm all along for the ride. Finally, we're not talking about marketing.
Yeah. So mainly we use Indeed. You can use several other platforms. You can use the paid part of Indeed or the non-paid part of Indeed. Pretty much all of it.
When you say paid part of Indeed,
you can sponsor stuff. So
basically, it's like advertising for a job.
It just posts it more. So for the real estate photography side of it, you don't need to sponsor anything. Like people will show up because when someone searches real estate photographer as the job, there's going to be only a couple.
Yeah.
So you don't need a sponsor to be on top of yourself. So it doesn't really make sense. So, anyways, the cleaning side, you can sponsor it. That one's actually, we haven't done it yet because we've had a lot of people apply, and we've been doing pretty good with that. So we haven't had a problem with that. So our process, we just post it on Indeed. We get plenty of applicants, and between all 100, we should be able to find somebody. So we find somebody out there, but our things we're looking for right off the bat, just seeing what they did in the past. Do they actually have cleaning experience? Do they know what cleaning is?
Have they cleaned?
Yes. So
professionally.
Yes.
We had one person that was like, I have 3 kids. That was their cleaning experience. While given, you're going to have a lot of cleaning experience.
Yep.
Not quite what we're looking for, but good on you.
Good try. But anyways, we and then we just send them a message. We ask them probably a couple questions in the first message, and then we do one interview. And then we do a second interview. And we always do 2 interviews because people change. People will show up perfectly for the first interview, and all of a sudden you're like, I want to hire them perfect. But if you do one more interview, and all of a sudden you go, oh, they're a completely different person, the person I talked to last week. And then you go, no, don't want them. So that's why I always do 2 interviews, because you're pretty much risking a whole business on one 10-minute conversation. So 2 interviews, way to go that way. And then, but yeah, that's pretty much it. But pretty much we're looking for if they want to work part-time, full-time, we ask them what they want to get from the business. Like why do they want to come work for us? Yes, they just want to make money and want to get a job, but what else? What do they want to take from the business? Like, what do they? What's their whole purpose of wanting to work for us? What are they going to get out of working for us? So once we learn what they actually want, then we see if we're able to provide that. Like, we're not going to, like, if they say, hey, I want to do this. Like, obviously, if we can't do everything right off the bat, but if we notice that's the structure we're trying to work towards, and perfect, we're like, that person will like working here because they figured out what they want. So
now you've kind of shortened down the interview process. So we still have 2 interviews, but you've kind of streamlined interview number 1. Do you want to talk about that app and that process and kind of how it works? Because it's awesome.
Yeah. So for
everyone that's been doing it is like, wow, this is the future.
Yeah. So that's only for the photography side. We haven't done that for the cleaning side yet. Just for the tech savvy side of it, not as many tech savvy people in cleaning as in the photography, where all they do is work with technology. So on the photography side, we have I think it's called myinterview.com, where we just ask them all the things we already know we're going to ask them, which are kind of like the deal breakers right off the bat. So we just ask them to do that, like do an interview, a video interview of that. And then we watch that. If it looks good, we do an in-person interview.
Gotcha.
Or Zoom interview.
And kind of how it's working is you send them the link and they have a list of questions, and you have so many tries that you can do per question. And so like they have to do a new recording for each question. They go through and answer each question. And so when we're going through, we can just click on the question and just hear that question alone. Click on the next question, hear that question alone. So it's much more streamlined, because if you can ask maybe filler questions that that maybe will make or break whether or not they get to the second interview, but you can just do you can start with your deal breakers first.
Yeah. And just ask them what you know you're already going to go, well, if they have this, this, and this, then I know they're probably going to be good for an interview. Well, just ask them that.
Right. And even you don't even have to watch the full interview, because you can say you have one deal breaker question. You can watch that question, and if it's a no right for that question, okay, you can move on to the next person.
Yeah, and this is only because last year went through 7,000 applicants. So versus like smaller businesses, you can I'll just interview these 3 people. That's a whole different, we're talking about hiring a ton.
Yeah, do you want to talk about hiring? We're not talking about,
okay. We're not talking about,
we won't talk about our goals, but we're basically hiring a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And we're doing it really quickly.
Yeah. And I was saying we won't go into all the, what, I forgot what I was going to say there, but anyways.
Anyway, but so that streamlines the first interview when you're hiring as many people as we are. But then with Lime Green, we're kind of taking it more of just like a person by person. And it's just not a very tech savvy group. Industry. Yeah, that's right. That's the right way to do it. Whereas photographers are more.
Yeah. So we notice when they're having trouble, some people having trouble figuring out Zoom. I never used Zoom before, and we're we just went through COVID. We should be able to know how to use Zoom.
Yeah.
But anyways, getting through that first, just looking through the resume. Is it someone I might want to interview? And if they're not 100%, just don't fill the seat. You're not trying to just fill somebody's spot. If you need to wait another week to find somebody else, just wait. Don't find somebody that's just going to fill a spot so you can make sure you can take care of it. If you're I got 3 clients next week, I got to make sure I can take care of them. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Just be I'll figure those clients out, because then I'm not going to ruin my business by just putting somebody in a seat, which I'm going to get rid of in a month.
Yeah. Well, and it's important too. I mean, where we're at right now is our growth is directly tied to the number of people that we can hire. And we've got some stuff coming in on the pipeline that we'll talk about in a later podcast, but it's basically the more people that we can hire, the more that the company can grow.
Yeah. It's pretty we're limited on that right now.
So we have all of the incentive to hire as many people as possible, but we have to understand too, if we hire the wrong person, we can lose a lot more money.
Yeah. So just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait.
We'll talk about that later, but, and then also interview style. The way that you conduct an interview can also really change whether or not people have a fair shot. So you want to talk about, and this is the biggest thing that I would say, learned in the last 2 years.
Oh yeah,
of conducting interviews.
You talk about ask questions and then just wait for them.
Exactly.
Okay, so you ask a question and you just wait. You just wait and just don't say anything. just sit there and wait and see what they do.
And it's so easy to be so excited about the business and want to tell them about how cool the business is. I mean, we have an entire podcast talking about how cool we think our business is, right? So it's very, you kind of just have to take a different approach when it comes to the interview.
Yeah.
So talk about how you do that.
I just ask them one question, like I literally ask them a question, and I just ask an ongoing question. They'll just go on. And then I just kind of work through that to actually pick up my next couple of questions. But if I just ask them and just quiet, then all of a sudden they'll just keep talking because they don't want the silence or the quietness to ask the next question. Because if you don't say anything, they just keep talking. And then realistically, you learn a lot more about them because then they go about that. So, but,
with how do they treat silence is basically a big part of the interview, because you can just look at them.
Way, but
right.
You just ask a question, see what they do.
Yeah. You just ask them.
And I got a couple of questions.
So why did you apply for this job? And then just stare at them.
It's crazy the amount of things you get. It's maybe not the correct way to go about, but I don't make it last forever or anything. I just ask them the question, see what they do, because they don't really want it to be silent while they're on a job interview, so they just keep talking.
Yep.
And then you just mostly just ask them questions from that. So.
Yeah.
But
you just got a couple bullet points. Like I think when I was conducting interviews for my position, there was like 6 questions that I had total, and it was like a half an hour interview.
Because once you don't ask them a yes or no question. Like obviously the certain things can be yes or no, but don't only ask them yes or no questions where you talk for 75% of the video and all of a sudden they talk for 25% where all they said was yes or no.
Right. Yep.
So ask them about that. You want to learn about them. So perfect.
Like for the photography company, do you have a camera? Yeah.
Yeah, it's cell phone.
Which has happened before. We had one person that answered like, "Oh, why did you apply for, or how did you hear about us? What do you know about the company? Why did you apply?" And he looks at the camera and he goes, "I don't know anything about your company. I don't even remember applying." And that was it.
Do you have a camera? Yeah, I have a cell phone. Do you do video? Yeah, all on my cell phone. Anyways.
But we digress. But that's kind of like the process of just making sure you're asking questions. And then just like you're listening, not to respond, but to, I say judge, but that sounds so bad. But you are listening to like figure out who they are. So listening for understanding.
Cool.
That's it.
That's all we got.
No, we just got to talk about the number.
What are we at, Dean?
I don't know. You're the one that looked at it.
We got pretty far this week.
We did get pretty far.
21,200.
And we were at 17.5 last week.
Right, yeah, 17.5.
So
that was our busiest week yet.
It was our busiest week. All of the stuff from like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I feel like it's just like there's like a 2 or 3 week delay. Yeah. And everything, any change that we make 2 or 3 weeks ago takes that long. Yeah.
But we did get lots of more commercial people. So that's exciting. We just keep getting somehow every day we get another one that accepts us. So
yes.
We'll take it. But that's all we got for this week, Dean.
That's all we have except our retention rate.
Oh, our retention rate. It's actually at 70% today.
It went to 70%?
It's at 70%. That was our goal. It went this morning.
Wow, that's awesome. I looked at it last night and I was like, 69.
Yeah, 70% this morning.
I get to say on camera 69 and then just looking at the lens.
70%. Dean.
But it's at 70%.
70%. That was
it
our
ruined
goal.
my moment.
75% is the next step.
We're coming.
That's all we got.
We're coming. So thank you so much for joining us for week 12 of the 0 to 7 podcast. Can you believe it? Week 12. It's only 12 weeks already. But thank you so much for tuning into this week of the 0 to 7 podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, we of course want you to subscribe to whatever platform you're listening on, whether that's Spotify, YouTube, or whatever things that aren't that, which you probably, whatever. Anyway, if you really enjoyed this podcast, please feel free to leave us a 5-star rating. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
See ya.
See ya.
So we are late.